Hello everyone, welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness Podcast by Yashasvi Kumar. I am Yashasvi, your host, and in this episode, I have invited Colonel Dr. Inderjeet Singh sir as our guest, and he is a very highly qualified, very learned, and very experienced person. He has been a TEDx speaker, he has been a part of military intelligence. Currently, he is working as Chief Information Security Officer. He is also one of the top 20 blockchain influencers of India. He was also being a representative at UN office at Geneva. He has a lot to share. He got an ocean of knowledge in the domain of cybersecurity and blockchain. He talked about metaverse, the crimes that happens in metaverse, what cyber hygiene that we need to inculcate. I recommend everyone to consume this podcast entirely because this podcast got everything that you need to know about cybersecurity. Enjoy the podcast and let me know below in the comments. Colonel Inderjeet Singh, sir, how are you doing today?
I'm great, doing well, and pleasure to be part of your talk show. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm very glad to have you as a guest on this episode. So, being in this field for more than 2 decades now, you carry an immense knowledge, you have your own learnings, you have your own experience. So, what are your insights about India's cyberspace in terms of India's critical infrastructure, in terms of how and how much India's people are aware of their digital security and privacy?
Great. Thanks for the question. It's very interesting to talk of the India landscape, and the cyber security in last couple of years has been on the forefront of all the discussions. Number one point, and the what has really happened is because of the COVID, the attacks really increased, and the number of ransomware attacks which have gone up. You can imagine the magnitude is almost every 11 seconds we are having a ransomware attack. So whether it's India, whether it's world across, we are seeing the ransomware attacks increasing phenomenally. And the condition is such that either we are already being hacked or we are going to be hacked. Whatever we do, it's very difficult to safeguard ourselves because we need to be secure 100 times. The hacker has to exploit only one opportunity, and that's the opportunity for him to attack us and cause the damage. And when you talk of the landscape per se, critical infrastructure of the country, it's very important. And there have been reports that it's been compromised at times. There was a report by the Recorded Future that the power grids of India were under threat. Then we are seeing lots of cyber attacks also happening on the critical infrastructures. And what is more important is, while we talk of the cyber warfare, cyberspace, the critical infrastructure are the core targets for any hacker. And what are the critical infrastructures? As per the national cybersecurity policy, we have 6 critical information infrastructure, wherein we talk of the banking sector, the power sector, the water sector, aviation sector, and so on. And these are very important for the nation's security. And any of the attackers, getting down and attacking these networks is going to damage the country's reputation, the company's reputation, the organization's reputation, and this is only increasing. So net, what we are seeing is during the COVID, while the critical information infrastructure were under attack, we saw hospitals, being targeted. India, we didn't see much, but the world across, hospitals and the pharma industry has been targeted quite a bit. And what importantly you need to know about that is that the pharma sector or the healthcare sector has become the new IT sector of the world, which we never anticipated. And the reason is why, because all the equipment which are there, connected in the hospitals are on the internet. And they are life-saving devices. They are devices which are monitoring the health of an individual. And a hack attack into them can really be quite damaging, right? And that's how the cyber space has been evolving, and it is really growing because the complexity of the cyber attacks which have been happening in last couple of months is only increasing. And the hackers today are no more lone wolf hackers. They are hacking groups, and they run a profit and loss company. So if you look at a hacking group, they are an organized group which has got HR, which has got developers, which have got negotiators, which have got ransomware as a service providers, affiliates, access providers. So all those people are forming a part of a hacking group. They are much more organized. They know what they're doing. They have very specific, focus when they come onto the cyber attacks in any area. So we are vulnerable, and the only thing which we can safeguard is the cyber awareness, and that's the point which you raised. And it's very important for us to be cyber aware, and that cyber awareness has to be pan country today, pan India, because from a small child to a person, old age person, who all of them are using mobile phones, which are quite vulnerable, right? We are seeing everyday frauds happening on them, people losing money, right? So if you look at the larger part of the population is exposed to these cyber threats. And the way we have to plan is that the cyber awareness should be pan country across everyone, and it should form a part of the curriculum, starting from a normal in a younger age of your school education itself, because from there itself we imbibe the cyber awareness or the cyber security hygiene part of it, digital citizenship part of it, from the initial years of schooling.
Yes, sir, definitely. Because nowadays, younger ones are more vulnerable to cyber threats because they have not inculcated proper cyber hygiene. They are consuming anything they are seeing on the internet. They are believing anything, whatever they are watching on the internet. So, coming to the next question, sir, which I want to ask you, it's about Metaverse. I have gone through your LinkedIn profiles and all the articles that have been published under your name. You talk a lot about Metaverse and cybersecurity. So how both of them are correlated with each other? Number two, how is the future of financial crime is related with Metaverse? So any insights about that, sir?
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic to talk on the metaverse, and this is really a way forward. And just to tell you, the metaverse is not a future anymore; it's already there. And the conversation about is that it's all going to be there now, and we are going to be part of that metaverse, and we are going to see the growth of the metaverse. So just to give you a preview of what the metaverse is all about, it's primarily a perfect fusion of physical, augmented, and virtual reality. And the technologies which really enable metaverse are your AR, that's augmented reality, virtual reality, Web3, right? NFTs, DeFi's. So all of them really are the enablers for the metaverse, and the virtual world that can be accessed through the internet. And how you're really going to access it, it's a recreation of the material thing in the virtual world. You'll have a head mounted device which you can wear. You'll have a haptic sensors which you can wear, and you can feel and you can see what's happening in the metaverse. So you can have the virtual projects, you can have virtual currencies to transact, you'll have avatars which are going to be your virtual characters of yourself. So it is basically going to be very identical to your real world, but built on imagination and combination of both. So that's how you're going to do it. And when we relate it to a collaborative virtual world where currencies which are going to be used, they are going to be the NFTs, where you can use it to buy, sell lands. You can buy a building. You can have your own identities. You can have your own avatars. So that's how the complete metaverse is all going to be there. And just to tell you that this is not one thing which has just started very recently. This was primarily one of the novels which are being written in 1992 by Neil Stephenson, and the name of the novel was A Snow Crash, when he had actually gotten the concept of the metaverse. And from there on, now we are seeing the metaverse taking shape in last couple of years, and more so when Facebook changed its name from Facebook to Meta. That happened in October. So it really, changed everything, the way people think about. And we are seeing the lots of immersive contents which have been created, where there are lots of collaborative, thinking which is happening. We can create lots of venues for different things which we want to do. So that's net. Metaverse is really a game changer, right? And every area we are seeing a metaverse is happening, and we are taking lots of cue from that. And there are lots of companies also joining metaverse, right? So that's very important, because we are seeing so much of money which is being pumped in by Microsoft, Apple, Google, all of them, and some of the companies like Adidas, Gap, Nike, Gucci, everyone, Walmart, pumping in so much of money, and they're entering into the metaverse space. Now, even the banks are entering into metaverse space, right? Airlines are entering into metaverse space. So that is how it's really changing. Now, coming to the crimes part of it. So any technology, when we look at, it brings in the advantages, and it also brings in the disadvantages. And when we look in from the advantages, which I told you that we are really going to be into the metaverse, and one of the studies which interestingly says, that there are different figures, by McKinsey has told some other figures, Citibank has told different figures, but definitely as per Citibank, they say that the metaverse economy is going to be around $8 trillion to $13 trillion by 2030. So that's where we are seeing, metaverse moving forward. And they're going to be expected to be around 5 billion users on metaverse in due course of time. And it's, of course, the next generation of internet, right? And when it comes to the crime part of it, so the crimes remain the same, what we have today. And one of the kind of things, if you have read through on the internet, which was all there, we are seeing similar kind of crimes. There was a rape in metaverse, which was very alarming. There's cyber crimes, there's cyber bullying, there's cyber cheating, there's cyber frauds. All are there in the metaverse. And how they are getting it is that they use the credential theft, they do the identity theft, your privacy is at risk. So these are the kind of challenges what we are going to see. And there are a whole lot of cybersecurity challenges when I look at it, because it could be related to identity, where your identity has been stolen. There's a chances that there's somebody impersonating you. Avatar, primarily, authentication can be a challenge, because what we're looking at, that if you create an avatar, you should be able to move in any metaverse with the same avatar, right? Your identity should be unique, right? So that's the kind of challenges what we see. Then we are seeing the data related challenges which are coming up. Data tampering challenges could be there. False data injections could happen. Your privacy related challenges. We are seeing deep fakes. Why? Because in metaverse, the moment you put a VR head-mounted device HUD, your complete facial components are being taken by the company who's running that metaverse, because it takes your iris, it takes your facial expressions, it takes your kind of the expressions what you have otherwise. So it has got a real privacy related challenges what we have, right? So these are the kind of challenges which always can be there. Here also we'll have the problem of phishing attacks coming up. There'll be a challenge of ransomware attacks in the metaverse. We're going to see it all. And already the kind of indications which we're already seeing it when we saw that rape which was happening, right? And since this is a very niche area, metaverse, we are still evolving, and the security remains the paramount importance. So the governance of the metaverse, the digital governance, is going to be really very important. The rules around the metaverse are going to be important. And something very interesting which one would talk is, we may have meta cops in times to come, because we need to really monitor the metaverse, what's happening, because everybody, if they're let free, how we are going to do it. And metaverse has got another challenge. Another challenge is that, like your social media, the company which is running a metaverse, they have the scope of monitoring you. They can manipulate the users using deepfakes, and they can monetize your data, right? So while the metaverse is a phenomenal technology, AR, VR is one of the really evolving what we are seeing, but it's got its own challenges, right? And it's time to come that the time will tell us as to how we are working on those, trying to work on the challenges which we are facing, and we overcome those challenges and make metaverse a very safe place to be in.
So, sir, can we say that Shah Rukh Khan's movie Ravan was a part of metaverse kind of thing? Was it an
So,
application of metaverse? Can we say that?
so I will not comment on that because metaverse is still evolving, and primarily you don't mix between the game screens which are there with the metaverse which we do, because the moment we talk of metaverse and the games, we in the games also are the basics, the Roblox which is there where you can evolve your own game altogether. That's also a 3D environment which you get in. But when you get into a metaverse, so primarily you go in a metaverse with a head-mounted device where it is virtual reality based. That's all AI, and the moment you look around, there's a augmented reality, right? And that is how the complete thing comes. And the movement, the motion, even there was somebody talking of tasting in the metaverse, licking the screen to taste in the metaverse. That's where the people are talking of. And then people are also talking of the hand movement using the haptic senses. So you move your hand so that you have the different kind of the movements in the metaverse. So that's how the metaverse is going to be, right? And it's a very interesting when it's a technology which is par excellent, which is one of the best, and all the technologies what we are reading AR, VR, the AI, the machine learning, the deep learning, they're all going to play around with it.
So that was a very great insight, sir. So talking about the privacy, that our user data can be monetized, can be sold off. So with the evolution of AI and big data, I'm talking about devices like Alexa or Google Home. So they use our data, whatever I speak, maybe my phone microphone is on, some app is using whatever the conversation we are having. For example, if I search to buy a second-hand car on Google, the moment I will open a YouTube video, I'll be shown a second-hand car ad. So we need to know what we have to protect. So what in 2022, what being a digital user, what being a user of a mobile, we need to know that we have to protect which kind of data. What is privacy in 2022, sir?
So privacy in 2022 is a personal identifier information, which is there all over on the internet. And just to tell you one important factor, we are no more a user of any social media platform. We are only a product, and we are traded. And people who are trading our data, and what they practically do is they collect all the data as to where you click, how much time you're there on the page, what are you looking in for. And it starts not only from the social media, it starts from your browser itself, right? Where they're doing the signatures of yours, and
Digital
you have a
signatures.
very unique ID of yourself. Say, for example, the moment you go onto the Google Chrome, so it creates a very unique ID about a user, right? And based on that ID, now it starts monitoring you. And what does it monitor? How much time are you on screen? What are you seeing? Which page are you going? What are you browsing through? Whether you are in a Flipkart or Amazon, what are you seeing? And that information is being traded to all the marketeer sites, marketing sites or advertising sites. Now, this is the complete real estate which is there on the page which you have. Now, based on how good or a bad data provider you are being shown the advertisements back to you, right? And that's why the moment you search for, say, a visit to any place, you see a similar kind of image which is coming to you, right? So that is where the browser itself, through your the signatures which are there, fingerprinting of your page, they have actually given you the advertisement. So that is the complete cycle which happens. Similarly, you touched upon uh, Alexa, Google Assistant, or Siri. Primarily, they are conversational AIs, and they pick up all the data, and they try to understand your words just like another person, and they respond in all kind of forms using the AI. And that is how they are kind of being trained, and they are working on a manner that they respond to you in a very cognitive, with a cognitive intelligence, of course, and give you the results. While this is a very good facility which is there, but then it's got infringing in the privacy of the individual person. And that is how we really have to be very careful about our privacy. So what we are sharing on the social media, what are the kind of data which we put it. So it's like you go on a Facebook page and you try putting some photograph of holidays, you will be shown holidays photograph, you are being tagged by someone. Based on that, you'll get a friend suggestions which are there. You see a particular video, you'll be seeing those kind of ads which are coming up. So the algorithms are so designed now, right, so that they want to engage a particular user the maximum based on your historical engagement, right? And that's how they really serve the content to you. And they target use a target advertising to you, and which is most likely to the clicks, and you act on different posts which are there. So that is how they are using it. So we are in a very critical space where our privacy is at a risk. And that's why you find most of the social media companies have become $1 trillion companies, primarily on what they have become $1 trillion companies on your data, right? So we should be very careful what we are posting on the social media, what data we need to share. And that's where we can be very careful while we are on the social media.
The kind of digital footprints that we are as a user
Yeah.
putting up there, we need to be careful about that. So
Yeah, and just remember, about the digital footprint is like whatever you are putting on the social media, it's indelible. Once you put it, it's always going to be there, right? And say, for example, if you delete your Facebook account, the account is related only from your eyes. The account remains, the data remains, right? Snapchat, it became famous that the photo you see is only photograph which you send it to your friend is only seen once, right? But it's never deleted, it's only hidden, right? And the other thing is the Wayback Machine archives all your blogs in the Twitter feed. So whatever you are doing, you are vulnerable today. And digital footprint is where you have to be very careful of what posts are you doing, what are the videos you're putting on, what are the photographs you are sharing. Because once you put on those photographs on the internet, believe with me, they're never going away from the internet. It's only that you may not be able to see it, right? And they're always available. They will be available through search engines, social media platform, public databases. They're all going to be there, right? And that's how it really works.
it was a very like immense knowledgeful insight that you have given to me about the social media. So if we are talking about social media, then why not WhatsApp? There have been many times rumors that WhatsApp is selling off our data. It's not end-to-end encrypted. WhatsApp can actually read our messages. So how secure is WhatsApp in reality?
So you see, it's like this. Most of the WhatsApp which you have, you take a backup, and if you see, when you take a backup, it's been stored in some of the Google Drives which you have, and the moment you save it on the Google Drive, it's vulnerable, number one. And there's a feature where it says encrypt your data, but most of the people don't encrypt the data. That means the moment you are putting your messages back up at the end of the day, because it takes a backup at 2 o'clock in the night, I think. And once it takes a backup, it's uploaded on the Google Drive. That's the feature what they have. And if it is unencrypted, the complete messages are open to anyone. So we are as vulnerable as we are, even while we say that end-to-end encryption we have, but then it's unencrypted format when we are putting it on the backup Google Drive.
I have asked you a lot of technical and cybersecurity stuff questions. So, coming to your professional life, sir, how did it all started? Like, it's been more than 2 decades that you have been in this industry. You have been part of many great organizations. You have been part of military also. You have been part of university advisory boards. You have been a chief information security officer of companies. So how did it all started and how you turned your life into this industry, sir?
So it's a very interesting journey, and I was in the Indian military, and I served there for a very long part of my life, and really enjoyed being part of that. And the learnings which I had are still, taking me forward. And whether it's a technology, whether it's management, or any business management which is required, so it really puts me in the forefront whatever I do. And when I look at from a technology perspective, I have been into the internet space in the earlier years when we were there in 90s, and went on to the network security part of it, what I saw, and then into the data security. And of course, now I am seeing the AI and the metaverse coming in, blockchain moving in, so much of technology, which is really growing and very interesting space. So it's a very, very interesting journey. And I learned a lot from my peers, and I always learn as I grow. So, the technology has been teaching me because it's been evolving, and so am I. I have been trying to evolve along with the technology itself. So it's been a very interesting space.
That was very nice to know about you, sir. Like, when I was watching your videos on YouTube, it was like that I'm going to have a one-to-one conversation with a personality who is much more bigger than me. But when I'm talking to you right now, it doesn't feel like that. So thank you so much, sir, for letting us you have on this episode. I'm very grateful.
It's a pleasure. It's really great to be with you today and discussing on the cybersecurity aspect. One takeaway, you always remember, be cyber safe. Cyber is a real good career to be in, and grow with the cyber, and make people aware of cyber. Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be with you today and discussing all the pertinent points which you asked.